It's the middle of January, not at all the time of year we might normally be about to say the following words, but here we are. And goodness gracious, are we ever so very thankful that we're able to say St. Martin's basketball is back. I have been waiting so long and so impatiently to be able to say those very words that I'm going to repeat them for emphasis and good measure. St. Martin's basketball is back. The lights inside Marcus Pavilion are on, and the familiar sweet sounds of basketball are resounding beneath its curving rooftop. Sneakers are squeaking, basketballs are thumping, and pregame shoot-around shots are raining down on the Twin Star court, and a familiar opponent has traveled about 60 miles down I-5 to help us kick off what might be a very abbreviated season, but is also a season that we are so appreciative of and so very, very thankful for. Well, good evening, everybody, and at long last, welcome to another season of St. Martin's men's basketball. Alongside Saints Director of Athletic Communications, Austin Burns, I'm Jeff Lucero, and we are so happy to be here with you for the first live broadcast from Marcus Pavilion tonight here for the home opener of the 2021 Saints basketball season in what will likely be the most unorthodox and unusual season of their lifetimes. The Saints open the modified and scaled down home portion of the docket against the Seattle Pacific Falcons. We'd also, of course, like to welcome in any Falcons fans tuning in this evening. Very nice to have you along for the broadcast as well. We'll talk matchups here shortly, but first, I'm going to flip the script on Austin just a little bit. You see, this is the part of the pregame show in which we'd normally talk about the Saints' most recent games, or in tonight's case, for our first broadcast of the season, look back on last year and look ahead at the one at hand. And believe me, we'll get to all of that both shortly and during tonight's game, not to mention throughout our small handful of broadcasts that will bring you this season. But I would be quite remiss, quite negligent, quite thoughtless, really, if I didn't take a moment before we dive in to express my gratitude to all the folks right here at St. Martin's who have worked so hard behind the scenes to bring athletic competition back to this campus. I don't know about those of you at home tuning in tonight, but getting to watch sports once they came back over the past year has brought such light and such a steady sense of normalcy to an otherwise chaotic, discouraging, and altogether surreal and dark year. And today, intercollegiate competition returns to this campus. Make no mistake, my friends, that is a very big deal. And there are so many people right here at St. Martin's who have poured blood, sweat, and tears to make it happen. So yes, before we say anything more, I very much want to extend my humble thanks and gratitude to the St. Martin's Board of Trustees, President Roy Hendricks, Athletic Director Bob Grisham, Associate AD Chris Greger, every single person on the athletic administrative staff, all of the coaches across every sport, every single one of the student athletes on campus, and of course you, Austin Burns, Mr. Director of Athletic Communications, for helping make today a reality. As you well know, Austin, this is no small feat, and I know the weight and meaning of this moment and this day are not lost on you. But I want you to know that it does not go unnoticed, and it does not go unappreciated. So, Austin, on behalf of myself and everyone tuning in tonight, and every fan of college athletics worldwide, we see you and the work that you're putting in, and from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you.
Well, thank you, Jeff, for all those kind words. And like you said, all we had on our minds was getting to this point right here. It's been 11 long months to get here. That's all we've wanted to do for these student athletes, is give them that opportunity to be back on the court. And I'd be remiss to not mention at least Alice Brecht, our head athletic trainer,
of course,
and Isaac Thompson, our other trainer. Those two have put in so much work during the pandemic, and even now, all of today, all of our student athletes were tested. It was a big event. So those two have done a phenomenal job to get us here to this point. Our student athletes, our coaches, everybody, all the way up to the top leadership, like you said. It's been a team effort to get here tonight. We're just excited to be playing basketball again.
We'll take our first break here on the Saints men's basketball pregame show. When we return, we'll take a look at what Saints head coach Aaron Landon is working with in his second year on campus. You're dialed in at long last to the St. Martin's men's basketball pregame show.
Every time a student learns something new, makes a discovery, or helps a team, it's not just good for that student, it's good for the whole community. At St. Martin's University, we know the impact a well-prepared graduate can have on the world. That's why last year, we extended more than $15 million in scholarships to our students. Because the more we invest in them, the brighter the future becomes for all of us.
And welcome back in for the Saints men's basketball home opening pregame show. As we noted before we went to break, this is year number 2 under Saints head coach Aaron Landon, although it feels kind of weird to say that, given that just 3 teams in the Great Northwest Athletic Conference have scheduled any games at all to date, and only 10 games appear on the Saints schedule as it is currently structured. His first year was a trying one for Coach Landon, and he'd be the first to tell you as much. The Saints emerged from a very difficult slate of games to open their season with a respectable overall mark of 4-4, which included victories in their first 2 league games, both on the road at Northwest Nazarene and Central Washington. But the seas got much rougher from there as the Saints went on to lose 19 of their next 20 games before knocking off Northwest Nazarene in their season finale to earn the season sweep of the Nighthawks and finish the season with a record of 6-23 with a league mark of 4-16. His second year here means that he's that much closer to establishing the type of basketball culture and identity that he began crafting and sculpting in his first year here at St. Martin's. And it does in fact seem that despite the logistical inconveniences and complications presented by the COVID-19 pandemic, Austin, he's inching ever closer to truly and fully adapting the program into something that suits his style and philosophy.
Yeah, head coach Aaron Landon had a very tough ship when he came in. He lost a lot of players from that run to the Sweet 16. He had to rebuild from the ground up, and it takes time, especially when you're bringing in a philosophy like his, that zone defense. You don't see that very often in college basketball. You got to get the right pieces to build that. And so what he was doing in that first year was building that culture, setting the tone for when players who come in, they understand what St. Martin's basketball will be like. And now this year it's about growing. Obviously, COVID-19 has had some other, change of plans on that, and now you're just trying to get reps in and games in. But, again, this team, they have a lot of talent on the floor. It's going to be, okay, how do we come together as a squad and figure out what we want to do moving forward? But he's got a lot of great pieces around him. I think it's only a matter of time until he's taken the Saints back to that level.
And Saints head coach Aaron Landon had one of the youngest teams in the entire GNAC last year, and this shortened season will not be much different. The big difference this year is there are just 3 GNAC teams with games currently scheduled. Again, it's just Seattle Pacific, Northwest Nazarene, and St. Martin's currently scheduled to play any basketball at all in 2021. We'll talk about that throughout tonight's broadcast and throughout this limited engagement season as well. We'll take another quick break. You are tuned in and that much closer to tip time between the Saints and the Falcons on the St. Martin's Digital Network. And welcome back in to the St. Martin's men's basketball pregame show. It's Jeff Lucero alongside Austin Burns, and it's time for a quick look at the Saints' opponent for not just tonight, but tomorrow night as well. That's the always familiar Seattle Pacific Falcons. SPU comes into this 2-game showdown having dropped its first 2 games of the season, both to Division III Whitworth last week. But don't read too far into that. Whitworth is one of the very best programs, not just in the Northwest, but across all levels of college basketball. But those 2 losses likely mean that this team comes into Marcus Pavilion in a bit of a bad mood and probably all too ready to take out some frustration. So far, Falcons head coach hasn't gone very deep into his bench. Just 7 players have seen significant time on the floor, and 6 of those players account for all but 6 of the Falcons' points so far. But this team is still very, very dangerous. largely due to the fact that their two best players, Devontae Moffitt and Henry Cavill, would both very likely be in the conversation, not just for first-team All-GNAC, if this was a quote-unquote normal season, but they'd both probably be in the running for Conference Player of the Year if all 10 teams were playing this year. And don't forget as well, SPU without the returning freshman of the year, Shaw Anderson. He's been sidelined for the first 2 games, and he will not be in action for this 2-game tilt with St. Martin's as well. And remember, this is a Seattle Pacific program that has completely regained its swagger. After going just 29-28 in his first 2 seasons at the helm, Grant Leap has led this program to back-to-back 22-7 seasons. Even more impressive, the Falcons own a combined record of 34-6 in the GNAC these past 2 years, winning the league last year with a sparkling record of 18-2. So don't get it twisted now. This is a program that expects excellence, a coach that demands it, and a squad that could very well be poised to take out their aggression on a Saints team that's played just 1 game so far and has been quite limited to a very restricted practice schedule the past couple of months. Make no mistake, this team is thinking tonight's the night for a reset on a season that hasn't started the way they hoped. We'll take one final break and return with some starting lineups in just a moment. This has been the St. Martin's pregame show on the St. Martin's Digital Network.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Marcus Pavilion in Lacey, Washington, and inside the Twin Star Court for today's basketball action featuring the Falcons of Seattle Pacific versus your Saints of St. Martin's University. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, before we begin and meet the players, would you please stand if you are able and remove your hats as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. And of course, I don't have the right thing, so let's just go ahead and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And welcome back in. We're just moments away from tip-off between the Saints and the Falcons. The first basketball action inside this facility in 11 months' time. I cannot wait. But first, let's bring you some starting lineups. First, for the visiting Falcons. Again, they come in tonight with a record of 0-2. In the starting lineup tonight for Seattle Pacific, number 1, Zach Paulson. He's a 6'4 sophomore guard out of University Place. Joining him in the backcourt, number 3, Sharif Khan, a 6'1 senior from Bellevue. Also in the backcourt, Perry Cavill. Keep an eye on him tonight. He's such a great player. His motor just never stops. A 6'6 senior from Kaiser, Oregon. Rounding out the backcourt, number 13, Devontae Moffitt, another electrifying talent for this Falcons squad. He's a 6'2 junior from Spanaway. Up front for Seattle Pacific, number 14, Mehdi El Mardi, a 6'8 senior from Rabat, Morocco. Head coach Grant Leap is in his 5th year. And remember, the Falcons are the defending champs. Regular season champions anyway, coming out of the GNAC last season. And for the Saints, it's the same starting lineup that they employed against Seattle University in a season-opening loss a couple of weeks ago. Number 0, Alex Schumacher, returns to the backcourt. He's a 6'3 sophomore from Vancouver. Also in the backcourt, another familiar face, number 22, John Moore, the 6'2 junior from just up the road a piece in Tacoma. New face in the St. Martin's rotation and starting lineup this year, and get used to this name, folks. Tyke Thompson, a 6'7 redshirt sophomore from Salem, Oregon. This kid is going to be very, very special. Aaron Landon just could not stop going on and on about how much he is excited for Tyke Thompson's time here at St. Martin's when we spoke just yesterday evening. Up front for the Saints, number 13, Goy Wang, a 6'5 junior from Aurora, Colorado. He transfers in from Trinidad State Junior College. And rounding out the starting 5, Marky Adams returns to St. Martin's. He's a 6'9 senior from Forks. Of course, Aaron Landon in his 2nd season. There's a new face on the bench for the Saints as well. Coach Thomas Roswell. If that name sounds familiar, it should. Thomas Roswell, a very familiar face in the basketball community around the Thurston County area. Former high school coach and a former Saints basketball player. He cut his teeth collegiately anyway here at St. Martin several years ago. Austin, what do you expect to see in the opening moments of our first game here at home anyway in 11 months' time?
I think you're going to see both teams just want to get at it right away. There's going to be no waiting around. They've been waiting a long time for this moment. It's finally here, Jeff.
Adams controls the tip. Saints in the home whites, burgundy uniforms for the visitors from Seattle Pacific. Up top, this is Goy Wang. Bounces a pass inside for Thompson, his first look. Fades away along the baseline from about 14 feet, swishes it home. Thompson with a beautiful little move. Couldn't gain any traction opposite Harry Cavill down in the post. Instead, just feathers up a 14-foot fadeaway, and the Saints with the first points of the ball game.
Oh, and there he is using that 6'7 wingspan just to get above the defense. Great job by Tyke.
Saints come out in an all too familiar look. That zone defense, something that Aaron Landon went to pretty much all of the time last year. The Falcons able to find the soft spot in that defense. 3 good from the corner. And Thompson whistled for an offensive foul at the other end. Cavill stands his ground, and he is not just a great offensive talent for this Falcons team, a great defender as well, and you saw it on display on that last sequence.
Yeah, he's just an all-around player. He's been a great player for them over the years. And Devontae Moffitt, their point guard as well. 2 phenomenal players to kind of build around. This Seattle Pacific team, this is a team I had in the top 20 nationally in my first national poll. Obviously, those losses kind of dropped them out, but this is a very good team.
No-look pass along the baseline into the hands of Cavill, but he's shut off by Adams. So Seattle Pacific resets at the top of the key. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Moffitt tries to go to work, finds Cavill in the corner. His 3 a little bit long. More on the weak side, gobbles up the rebound, brings it back the other way. Crosses over on Moffitt, kicks to the corner. Now it's Schumacher on the drive. Hangs in the air, but is whistled for an offensive foul. Rotating across and just above the restricted area, apparently anyway.
You know, I like that, though, from Shu. He got past his defender. He went up when he found the soft part of the zone. I like to see that aggressiveness out of Schumacher. That's what I want to see, him attacking the basket more. He's very athletic.
Absolutely.
Keep going on that. It's a great start for him.
That athleticism on full display, just unfortunately winds up drawing the charge. So the Saints settle back into that zone defense here at the defensive end. Moffitt rolls off the screen. Schumacher picks him up at the top of the zone. They reverse it back into the hands of Cavill. Crosses over, kicks to the corner. Zach Paulson on the drive. He's sealed off. Shot clock set to expire. Moffitt on the drive. Blocked out of bounds by Marky Adams as the shot clock hits 0. So a fantastic defensive stand for the Saints. Stout defense from St. Martin's results in the shot clock violation.
You know, the Saints defense is just different when Marky Adams is in the middle of that zone. He's such a great shot blocker. Came in last year, 62 blocks. That was most in the conference. He just does so much more for the SMU when he's out there.
More reverses back to Thompson. He'll fire away from deep and knock it down. Tyke Thompson with all 5 points for the Saints. Squares up a 3-ball in front of Grant Leap, and that where the SPU bench ought to be anyway. Their players, of course, are along either baseline. Kahn sealed off. Ball works its way inside. A whistle is blown. It looks like we'll stay at this end. Another foul called on St. Martin's. That's already the 3rd foul in just the first 2.5 minutes. And they're calling that a shooting foul. That'll send Zach Paulson to the line.
Well, Seattle Pacific already doing what a lot of teams did last year against this SMU zone, the corner threes. That's where a lot of teams had a lot of success last season, shooting over 40% against SMU. You know, there were some nights where you couldn't buy a miss if you were SMU from the opposing teams. But Seattle Pacific, it seems that's their MO here offensively to start. Get the ball to the corner. You're going to have an open 3 potentially there. Saints going to have to do a good job of spreading out that zone and covering ground quickly.
2 offensive fouls, 1 defensive foul. And our first substitution into the lineup for the Saints. We'll get that set for you in just a moment. Here's Adams. Well out of his range. Hands it off for Ty Velasquez, who has checked in for the Saints. Now it's Thompson on the drive. Pulls up, kicks to the corner. Velasquez will try for 3 and knock it down. Ty Velasquez, another new face to this St. Martin's program. Credit Tyke Thompson for finding him. Does a nice job of avoiding the contact in the paint. Kicks to the corner. Velasquez does the rest, and the Saints lead it 8-5. Here's Sharif Khan at the other end. Looked a little short out of his hand, but, man, that thing was right down the pike. And Sharif Khan equalizes. We're at 8-8. 16:45 to play here in the first half.
And that's what makes Seattle Pacific such a dangerous team. You know, those 4 or 5 weapons for them on the floor at any time. You can't leave a man unguarded. You want to cheat, but you can't.
Schumacher on the drive. Skip pass. Now a no-look to the corner for Velasquez. Pump fakes, now drives. Leaves it for Adams, who raises for the two-handed punch. And the Saints regain the lead at 10-8. Fantastic offensive sequence for the Saints. One thing that Aaron Landon talked to me a lot about last night was that they just have not had enough reps practicing. Remember that the Saints have been sort of in these pods for practices where they can't actually play 5-on-5. They've had a very conservative, restricted practice schedule for the last while, but showing no signs of rust or cobwebs here in the opening stages of this game.
No, they understand. They're just back here on their home court finally to get to play a basketball game. They're excited. They're ready to go, and it's been a great response from Seattle or for St. Martin's here in the early goings.
We'll talk more about that pod practice situation for the Saints as Schumacher tees up a 3 and squares that one away. So 13-8, a 5-point lead for St. Martin's. A very impressive first 4.5 minutes for the Saints in this contest. Reverse it back to Kahn. Drops it off for Moffitt. He gets into the paint. Marky Adams with his second block of the game. Well, Schumacher with his head up brings it the other way for the Saints.
And Marky, you can tell he's tired. This is 5 straight minutes on the floor for him, but he's just a rock out there for SMU.
DeMonte Malloy will trigger a 3, and quickly a 16-8 lead for the Saints. Malloy checked in at that last timeout alongside Velasquez. And what do you know? Seattle Pacific needs a timeout. My goodness. Welcome home, St. Martin's.
And let's go ahead and see that Marky Adams dunk again. Great inside vision. And then Marky Adams with the finish, what he does so well. Saints off to a 16-8 start. Couldn't have drawn it up any better for the Saints.
16 to 8 hour score, 14:59 to play here in the first half. Both teams at the bench. We'll take a quick break, but come right back for more basketball action here on the St. Martin's Digital Network.
Opportunity to me means doing the things that will make you a better future. I always dreamed of graduating from college. So being the first one in my family to graduate, it meant everything my parents sacrificed was paying off. Having an athletic scholarship for the University of Mount Olive was key for my success. I had the opportunity to not only get an education, but be able to develop as an individual.
And welcome back in. And, you know, Marcus Pavilion is a place that can get loud when there's 1,000 people in here. It sounds like 10,000 people, and unfortunately we can't have that this year. It breaks our heart. But, you know, the Saints faithful, they're still packing the pavilion. We got the heads in the crowd. And there's a little something special I'll tease right now, and we'll talk about the next media timeout. We got a celebrity in the crowd.
Oh, dear.
A celebrity. So, you know, kind of look on that crowd, see if you can't find someone. And the first person to put it out right in the chat will win something. We'll reach out to you the next day. But, you know, I'll give you a tip at the next media timeout, but who the celebrity is in the crowd.
Well, I see a familiar face out there. I don't know if he quite qualifies as a celebrity, but I certainly know who he is. Anyway, I've said too much. I've even given a bit of a clue there. Well, Sharif Khan handles here. He has been the offense for Seattle Pacific. He's connected on 2 threes. No one else for this team has scored. They are 0 for 5 outside of those 2 for 2 3 balls for Sharif Khan. For the Saints, they've yet to miss a shot. 6 for 6 from the floor, 4 assists on those 6 made baskets, and they are 4 for 4 from deep. That is what got us here to the 16-8 advantage for St. Martin's, as Moffitt will return to the floor, replacing Sharif Khan. Make it Zach Paulson checking out. So 11 seconds on the shot clock after Khan had his shot blocked out of bounds. Moffitt to trigger, finds Cavill, hands it off for Khan. Hesitates, then accelerates. Will jab step from Cavill, not once but twice. Now steps back, fires from 3 at the top of the key. That one off the back of the heel. And Schumacher alone beneath the basket. Brings it the other way for the Saints. Velasquez at the top of the key. Early offense. That 3 way off the mark. John Moore after it. Able to hustle and find the basketball. Earns an extra possession for the Saints. Handles here. They reverse it back across the top into the hands of DeMonte Malloy. Malloy had a spectacular season last year. Now we've got a brand new body on the deck for the Saints. And that is Seth Coddington for the first time this season. Puts his head down, gets to the rack, lays it up and in, absorbs the contact, and he'll head to the line for the and one. But all of a sudden, Austin, an 18-8 lead for the Saints, and they're still perfect from the floor. Well, I checked that. I got ahead of myself. Velasquez missed the 3, but 7 for 8 to start this game.
Yeah, and Seth Coddington, he's a player I want to focus on a little bit right now. He was a player highly regarded out of the JC class in California. Aaron Landon and his staff talked very highly about him. He was dealing with a lot of medical COVID-related issues coming out of the break, and so he wasn't able to practice a lot, and that's why you didn't see him against Seattle U. These are his first minutes as a Saint, and wow, what an impressive start in a Saints uniform, muscling your way into the paint and getting an and one.
11-point early lead for the Saints. Cavill handles. Leaves it for Devontae Moffitt. Guarded closely by Coddington. Now reverses back into the hands of Chris Penner, who's on the floor for the Falcons. They dump it down for Cavill. He'll go to work on John Moore. His shot too strong, and Schumacher another defensive rebound. Quickly ahead into the front court. Coddington back down low for DeMonte Malloy. Skip pass. Back to the corner now for Moore. Sealed off along the baseline. Kicks it back to the top of the key for Schumacher. Step back 3 on the way. Leaves it short. And the long rebound trickles out to Harry Cavill. Ahead to Penner, down to the corner, but the pass knocked out of bounds. Active hands courtesy of Seth Coddington. That was actually a heck of a play from Coddington, as Sion Blackman was alone in the corner, ready to trigger a 3.
Yeah, exactly what I was talking about earlier, that corner 3. That's where in a zone defense there's always going to be a weak spot on the floor. And And last year was a lot of that corner three. It seems like this year, again, Saints kind of giving that look up a little bit. And Seattle Pacific's going right there for it. But again, great play by Connington to knock that ball out of bounds.
Paulson rotates back in for Seattle Pacific. Barry Cabell takes his first seat of the ball game. Moffitt picked up. Now a switch leaves Malloy on him. Good help defense from Connington and Wang. Goy Wang on the floor. And the Saints just doing everything right in the game's first 7 minutes.
Yeah, they're locked in right now and playing with a smaller lineup on the floor. And now here's Malloy, just free throw jumper, no good. The Saints trying to use that quickness, and that's going to get you a lot of outside shot looks with that kind of lineup on the floor.
Kelton's some more on the drive. He'll pull up from about 12 feet along the baseline. And at long last, Seattle Pacific is back on the board. That was a long scoreless stretch for the Falcons.
About 4 minutes long.
Just the third made basket for Seattle Pacific. They trail 19-10. Schumacher looking for some help, has a couple of screeners. Kind of runs off of neither of them. Hands it off to Malloy, gets it back. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Wang comes out to set the screen. Schumacher unable to get much going on Moffitt. Now drives, reverses, back to the right hand. Tough angled shot off the glass. And everything just flowing for the Saints right now. Nothing happening on that possession at all, Austin, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah, and that's just a playmaker ability from Schumacher right there. Like you said, nothing going for him. Just makes something happen.
Foul on the floor will bring us to our next timeout. That one whistled against DeMonte Malloy. The fourth foul now on St. Martin's. To 1 for Seattle Pacific. 11:50 left. It's an 11-point advantage for the Saints.
NCAA Division II, community engagement is an initiative at all 25 national championships because student athletes want to give back while competing for a national title. Over the course of the year, Division II student athletes have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression in local communities throughout the country. Whether Division II student athletes are volunteering at hospitals, schools, after-school care programs, foster homes, or retirement villages, they make a difference in the lives of others. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
Was that the one? Yeah, that's who I saw.
All right, fans, we're going to go ahead and give you that first hint to the celebrity in the crowd. As you see, it's just kind of panning across right now. That first hint is he is a WNBA champion. A WNBA champion. So we have one of the highest honors in sports. We have one of those celebrities sitting in our crowd here. So if you see that person, go ahead and put that name in the chat, and we'll see whoever that first person was.
Well, a balanced scoring attack for the Saints. 6 different Saints players have scored to this point. 8 of 11 shooting. The Saints off to a scorching hot 73% shooting from the floor. 4 for 6 from 3. Seattle Pacific is 3 for 10 to start the game. Sharif Khan 2 for 2 from behind the three-point line. But the rest of the team really struggling to get it going at the offensive end. A lot of that is due to the absolutely tenacious defense applied by the Saints through the first 8 minutes of this contest. We'll see what Grant Leap drew up during the timeout. Moffitt handles. They get it back down to the corner for Paulson, but he's sealed off. Skip pass over the top for Cabell. Shot on the way. Wave it off. Offensive foul called on the Falcons. Charged with that foul is Jacob Medjo.
Tough call there, in my opinion, but Saints now, we see Tyke Thompson back on the floor, and, you know, we saw that great move to start for him, but he hasn't done much more outside of that, so if you're a Saints fan, you put 21 points up on the board, and your leading scorer from the Seattle U game really hasn't even gotten going offensively. That's a good sign for Aaron Landon and company.
20 points, 13 rebounds.
It's a good call right there.
In his Saints debut at Seattle U a couple of weeks ago for Tyke Thompson. Schumacher got his feet going a little too quickly before he put the ball on the deck, turns it over. 21-10 our score. Saints back in the zone. They were playing a little bit of some man-to-man earlier, and Aaron Landon told me that he plans to play a little bit more man-to-man defense this year, just to throw some different looks at teams, because I'd say they were about a 95% zone team last year, the St. Martin squad.
Yeah, and I think they looked a lot at kind of a matchup zone, so at a certain point in the shot clock, maybe switch into a man-to-man, maybe more of a look this year from them.
Adams whistles a pass outside for Wang. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Here comes the cutter at Schumacher, forced to fire up a shot, but there's Adams on the weak side. Cleans up the offensive glass, and it's a 13-point advantage for St. Martin's. Everything going the Saints' way.
Well, and if you remember, Jeff, last year, Markey just didn't get enough rebounds in the final game, and he lost that rebounding title in the final week of the season. But he's one of the best rebounders there is, not only in the conference but in the region.
Schumacher, a little 14-foot floater. That will fall, and the Saints extend the lead to 25-10. Aaron Landon has to be so happy with what he's seen out of this squad to this point. Bench guys all standing up, fired up. Everybody on this Saints team is enjoying what they're seeing. Another empty trip for the Falcons. Wang covers up. He brings it the other way. Steers it into the front court. No-look pass down low for Adams. Getting back quickly on defense to bother the shot and commit the foul is Moffitt. But that will send Adams to the line. What a pass right there from Goy Wang. Starting to see some of the versatility he's going to bring to the floor for the Saints this season.
Yeah, Goy was a kind of do-it-all at his last school there at Trinidad State. You know, didn't get to play a whole lot of minutes in that JC world. They kind of spread the minutes out a little bit more, but he was a very efficient player. He did scoring, he did the rebounding, he did passing. So that's what really attracted Aaron Landon and his staff to go get a player like him, is he can really do a lot on the offensive end, and he's such a great defensive piece. That length in the zone, that's what you love to see.
Malloy checks out for the Saints. So the 5 on the floor out there: Velasquez, Adams, Wang, Coddington, and Thompson. Adams good on the second after missing the first. 26-10 our score. Saints with a big lead early on the Falcons. Into the high post it comes. They kick it back for Moffitt. 3 defenders collapse on him. Now a pass outside for Paulson. Drops it off inside. Using the rim for protection. Kelton Samore gets to the rack. And that one of the best offensive sequences so far for the Falcons. Now trail 26-12. 9:15 to play in the first half. Coddington throws the lob, but Adams can't handle it. Trickles through his fingers and into the hands of Moffitt. He steers it the other way for the Falcons. Finds Cavill. They look to the high post. Now they drop it off. Some more kicks for Paulson. 3 on the way, a little strong. Rebound batted around into the hands of Seattle Pacific. They'll reset. Now Moffitt on the drive. Wave off the shot. Foul on the floor. This one going against Seth Coddington. That's his first. And the 5th on the Saints. As good as the Saints have been at the offensive end so far, Austin, I'm maybe more impressed with the effort that they're putting into the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, Seattle Pacific is a very good offensive team.
Absolutely.
And you know they're not going to score 12 points and just, you know, they're not going to keep this average going. They're too good of a team to keep this average going. So St. Martin's has been locked in here to start. This is how Seattle U began as well. The Saints were right there defensively. How can teams adjust?
Seattle Pacific just picking away at that zone. Mehdi Almardi able to get loose. He knocks home a shot. Lead down to 12 for the Saints. John Moore back on the floor for the Saints. He handles here. Now Coddington with it. Guarded by Moffitt. Starts his drive. Cut off nicely. Good defense from Moffitt. Forces Coddington back outside. Now Velasquez looks to go to work with 5 seconds on the shot clock. Bounces a pass for Thompson. Nearly throws it away. Forced into a tough shot. Nearly banks it home anyway. But good defense there for Seattle Pacific.
Yeah, credit Devontae Moffitt. He's so lightning fast. Laterally, he just moves across the floor. Great player.
Quick pass into the high post. Kelton Samore knocks it down from the elbow. And Seattle Pacific starting to work that lead down. 26-16. It's a 6-0 run. Now a pass to the corner. And that stems the tide. Velasquez kind of turning things around, flipping the script on Seattle Pacific. He finds the soft spot in the defense and knocks down the corner 3.
Yeah, let's go ahead and look
on the floor.
And let's look at that last play. You see right there, Devontae Moffitt gets beat that time, which allowed the kick out. Last time, Devontae Moffitt was able to come over and shut down that drive. This time now, Coddington gets by him, and it allows for an open kick-out pass.
7:45 left in our first half. Saints lead at 29-16 on the St. Martin's Digital Network.
Every time a student learns something new, makes a discovery, or helps a team, it's not just good for that student, it's good for the whole community. At St. Martin's University, we know the impact a well-prepared graduate can have on the world. That's why last year, we extended more than $15 million in scholarships to our students. Because the more we invest in them, the brighter the future becomes, for all of us.
And welcome back inside Marcus Pavilion. Jeff Lucero alongside Austin Burns. Saints continue to shoot the heck out of the basketball. 65% from the floor, 11 for 17, 5 for 8 from 3, including that last one from newcomer Ty Velasquez.
Yeah, and Ty played a great game up at Seattle U. You know, kind of a late addition to the roster in terms of when signees usually come in, but he's been phenomenal in these first 2 games so far. And what St. Martin's is doing well is they're shooting the 3 ball at a high rate. They shot a lot last year. They just weren't connecting at that very high efficient rate. So far tonight, they're hitting those marks.
On the other side, it's Kelton Samore roaring to life for Seattle Pacific. 6 straight points from him brought the Falcons back to within 10 points a moment ago. Before that, Velasquez re-pushed the lead back out to a baker's dozen. They go right back to the high post, but quick hands from Velasquez at the defensive end. Takes the ball right away from Moffitt. To the corner for John Moore. Thinks about a 3. Now a quick move along the baseline. Rotating over, trying to draw the charge was Mehdi El Mardi, but got there a half a step late. What an explosive drive from John Moore. He blew past the defender. Credit El Mardi for getting over to the spot. But Moore headed to the line for a chance for 2 more.
Yeah, I got to speak with John Moore this last winter here. We did an interview with him. It's up on our YouTube channel if you want to go ahead and take a look at that at halftime. He did a great job talking with one of our recent alumni, Dr. James Hammond. He's a superintendent down in California. And John Moore's a very smart young man. He was an all-academic selection. He would have been an all-academic selection if he had qualified last year. He was an NABC team honors court selection. Very smart man, and now we're starting to see more of that offensive game come together for him. He was a great defensive piece. Now he's becoming more of an offensive player as well for the Saints.
Tough pass inside intended for Tyke Thompson. Picked off, and back come the Falcons. No-look pass inside for El Mardi. He rolls to the basket, lays it up and in, and he'll head to the line for the and-one opportunity. Saints were active at the other end. Moore made the first, misfired on the second, but Saints able to track down the offensive rebound, earn the extra possession, wound up turning it over. Yeah, speaking of John Moore and being a smart man, the Saints just got their grades back from the fall term. 3.21 GPA, 5 players on the Dean's List. Aaron Landon as proud of that accomplishment as much as he is about anything that happens out here on the Twin Star court.
Yeah, and a lot of coaches are going to tell you this year they're going to be more proud of those kind of numbers than any year because
Absolutely.
A lot of classes were online. Students were dealing with not that usual workload. It was a very tough semester for a lot of these students, so for them to be able to come out and put together a performance like that in the classroom, hat off to these students.
Schumacher a little too cute with the dribble perhaps. Nearly turns it over. Moore able to track it down, but just 5 seconds on the shot clock for the Saints. Thompson's going to have to get off a long shot. He does. Leaves it short. Long rebound chased down in the corner by Schumacher. The double team comes. He kicks it out. Saints now reverse it into the hands of Moore, and Aaron Landon will call a timeout and is granted. It's a 30-second timeout, so we'll keep it here. Checking in for this next possession for Seattle Pacific, Sion Blackman. Austin, how we doing? Do we have a winner yet?
It is. I was going ahead and looking at the chat, and it looks like it's one of the Saints' very own women's basketball player, Emma Reed. Immediately right on it. I don't even think I had to give a hint before she knew who it was. Maybe been working with some insider knowledge being here in the gym for shoot-around, but, hey, hat off. Emma Reed, you are our first winner in this Celebrity in the stands.
Well,
So Mike Tebow is the winner. He's also, I didn't even get to this little fact, he's a selection as our distinguished alumni coming out here next month. Mike Tebow, a wonderful St. Martin's alumni. He was here last year. You got to do an interview with him, Jeff. How was that?
It was fantastic. Coach Tebow is such a great guy. He's got stories for days, and we got to hear a few of them, just some snippets of some stories in that halftime interview last season. Tell you what a special guy he is. It's so good to have someone with his kind of connections associated with the St. Martin's women's basketball program.
Yeah, and another little fact about him, Christy Martin, the women's basketball coach here at St. Martin, she can text him at any time. He's not going to text her back. He's going to call her back, and he'll talk basketball all night long. He's a really nice, humble human being. You couldn't ask for anything better to represent this university.
That is good stuff. And speaking of representing this university, well, Emma Reed, by the way, also a very smart basketball player.
Absolutely.
When we talked to Christy Martin the other day, she's so impressed with that player on her squad. Emma Reed, a very smart person herself.
Yeah, I mean, at St. Martin's, we're just blessed to have these kids. They're very smart. They're very talented on the court, but we know they're going to do bigger and better things when they leave this university. That's why they come here, is to get that 4-year education, and then they're going to go on to do amazing things. It's really special to be able to watch these kids before, they're about to hit stardom in their own perspective fields and stuff. It's really fun getting to know these kind of kids.
Thompson off the inbounds. Off balance, mid-air, 8-footer along the baseline. Gets it to fall, and the Saints push the lead back to 13. Under 6 to play now here in the first half. Cavill handles, picks up his dribble. Kick to the corner. Some more will try for 3. Thompson with the rebound. John Moore looks down low for Adams. Early offense in transition. Adams is good at the offensive end again. And the lead swells back to 15, 34-19. Really efficient transition offense for the Saints.
Yeah, and that's what they do so well when they have this lineup on the floor. They're a very athletic lineup, and they want to move up and down the court so quick.
Quick hands from DeMonte Malloy. He redirects the pass into the hands of Schumacher. So a turnover for Seattle Pacific, and the Saints starting to rebuild momentum again. Malloy here on the near side. Back up top. Now Thompson with it. 12 on the shot clock. Starts his drive. Kicks it out. Schumacher will try for 3 in front of us and bury it. Biggest lead of the game for the Saints now at 37-19. Under 5 to play in the first half.
When Alex Schumacher has confidence and he's feeling it, he's one of the best players in this conference, and he's feeling it tonight. He is on fire.
Timeout called by Falcons head coach Grant Leap. Will take it with them. The Saints, once again, now with their biggest advantage of the first half at 37-19, 4:47 to play on the Saints Digital Network.
Opportunity to me means doing the things that will make you a better future. I always dreamed of graduating from college. So being the first one in my family to graduate, it meant everything my parents sacrificed was paying off. Having an athletic scholarship for the University of Mount Olive was key for my success. I had the opportunity to not only get an education, but be able to develop as an individual.
With that last three-pointer, Alex Schumacher becomes our first player to reach double-figure scoring on the night. Give Schumacher 10 points on 4 of 6 shooting from the floor, 2 for 3 at the line. He's also got 3 boards, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Alex Schumacher already filling up the stat sheet, Austin. There's still 5 minutes to play in the first.
Yeah, and Schu, again, like I said, he's such a confidence-driven player, and you can see it on the defensive end. When he's locked in defensively, moving around, you know Schu is going to be in his position right here. This is where he thrives when teams are running up and down the court. He's such a great ball handler. He's playing so well right now.
Reverse it back for Schumacher. He'll try again. Leaves that one short. Long rebound batted out of bounds by the Falcons, so keep it at the Saints' end. Zach Paulson returns to the floor for the Falcons. Checking out Chris Penner. Saints playing so well at both ends. There was a fantastic fundamental play a moment ago. Marky Adams with a great box out allowed Tyke Thompson to soar in for the rebound off the con miss from 3. Inbounds pass whistled into the backcourt. Schumacher tracks it down, and the Saints will go to work. Rolls off the Adams screen. Looks over one shoulder, then the other. Now Thompson comes out to get it. He'll try for three and bury it. Saints now absolutely rolling a 21-point lead with exactly 4 minutes to play in the first half. Who in the world is this Saints team? Ate their Wheaties this morning, to be sure.
I think it's just getting back on the court. They're just so happy to be here. Up and under does not go for the Falcons, but you know, for the Saints, you're just happy to be back on this court finally. You're out of pods. You're playing a game. That's all you could ask for.
Tyke Thompson with a nice little move to free himself of the defender, Harry Cavill. That's no easy task. Cavill at the other end will try for three. That one no good. Flying in for the rebound was Kelton Samore, able to knock it home before Adams can get a hand to it. 40-21 our score. Malloy back on the floor, hands it off to Moore. Rifling a pass inside was Tyke Thompson for Malloy. Goes to work. His shot glances off the side of the backboard and falls well short.
I think it might have even been tipped as well.
Malloy nearly turns it over. Now finds Paulson alone in the corner. And back-to-back shots. For Seattle Pacific brings them within 17 at 40-23. Officials timeout on the floor. Not quite sure. It looks like we're going to replay to see whether that was a 3 or a 2 made a moment ago by Zach Paulson. So while the referees take a look at the monitor, we will step away, but come right back, folks. 2:55 left in the first half. Saints lead it by 17.
NCAA Division II, community engagement is an initiative at all 25 national championships because student athletes want to give back while competing for a national title. Over the course of the year, Division II student athletes have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression in local communities throughout the country. Whether Division II student athletes are volunteering at hospitals, schools, after-school care programs, foster homes, or retirement villages, they make a difference in the lives of others. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
Referees continuing to take a look, see where Paulson had his toes. No indication as yet, but speaking of Saints players in double figures, Tyke Thompson on the heels of that last three, he's now got 10 points. Identical 4 of 7 shooting performance from the floor for him. Same as Alex Schumacher. Thompson also with 5 rebounds in this game. We mentioned it earlier in the broadcast. Tyke Thompson in his Saints debut, 20 points and 13 rebounds against Division I Seattle University about a week and a half ago. Well on his way to putting up similar, if not bigger numbers tonight. 10 points, 5 boards with 2:55 to play here in the first half.
Yeah, one of the big things that stood out to me when I was looking at Tyke Thompson was his performance in a championship game just 2 years ago. He put up absolutely crazy numbers, and I don't want to speak completely off. I believe he had something around like 30 points and like 12, 13 rebounds in a title game. I mean, when you show up to the biggest games and put those kind of numbers up, you know you're going to be a great ball player.
Coddington handles. After the Saints nearly turn it over out near the timeline. Thompson draws a double team for the moment. Finds the cutter alone beneath the basket. Lays it home. It's Goy Wang. Credit Tyke Thompson. Zipping a pass to the cutter inside. 42-23 our score. Back to a 19-point advantage. It has been all Saints from the jump tonight. Seth Coddington gets a little bit handsy. Out around the free throw line, reaches in, draws the foul. That's his second, but the team's 7th, so Falcons in the bonus for the final 2:21 of the first half. This is Moffitt heading to the line for a 1-and-1.
Yeah, and just that last play there, just great heads-up awareness to see. You got a double team on you. You know someone's open on the court, and Goy doing a great job of just cutting to the basket, making yourself available.
Moffitt unable to earn the bonus. However, some more tracks down the long rebound in the corner, but then Goy Wang forces a turnover. And I've been really impressed with Goy Wang in this first half. He hasn't scored much, if at all. In fact, he's the only Saints player that's been on the floor yet to score, but he's done so many things, both offensively and defensively. Love his versatility. He rotates out to pick up the pass here. Guarded by Paulson. A couple of lefty dribbles. Crosses back to the right, guarded closely, now starts his drive. Ball knocked away into the hands of Cavill, and he'll steer it the other way for the Falcons. And an offensive foul, I believe, going to be called against Zach Paulson. Somehow able to get outside the restricted area and set his feet, at least according to the referee. And the player control foul sends possession back to the Saints. Wang will rotate out, as will Coddington. Velasquez and Schumacher back on the floor. So the 5 on the deck for the Saints: Moore, Malloy, Velasquez, Thompson, and it's Schumacher handling. Hands it off to Moore. Thompson at the top of the key. Velasquez looks inside, now hands it off, and a whistle away from the ball. It's going against Seattle Pacific, so keep it at the Saints end. Shot clock goes back to 20. And that's back-to-back fouls on Paulson, one at the offensive end and another right there. So 2 quick fouls on Paulson and 6 team fouls now on the Falcons. Minute and a half to play in the first. Saints lead it by 19. Thompson on the drive. Good help defense, forces him into a tough shot. It comes up well short, and some more gathers the rebound for Seattle Pacific.
Well, that's exactly what if you want to see as a Falcons fan. They're playing great defense down the stretch. Now you get an open 3 here in the corner. Momentum starting to build for you going into this halftime break. Seattle Pacific really starting to find their feet here in the last minute or two.
Kahn hits his 3rd three-pointer of the first half, but remember, that's the first time we've really heard from him since the opening moments of the game. Now Schumacher steps back into a 3. And another empty trip for the Saints. So if you're a Falcons fan, you just want to get this back to a reasonable deficit heading into the halftime break. Kahn looks inside. Not there for some more. Now off on the drive. Comes into a jump stop. They get to the corner, and Paulson raises for the 3 and crushes it. Just like that, it's a 13-point lead for the Saints, who have gotten perhaps a little too comfortable here in the closing moments of the first half. And the Falcons have made them pay.
Yeah, St. Martin's needs a basket here, and that's not the look you want. A deep 3. Now you're giving also Seattle Pacific 21 seconds left on this clock to get into a set play. So we'll see Marky Adams come back onto the floor. That's a good substitution, but Saints, I think right now they're kind of looking up at that scoreboard, wanting to get to halftime, holding a 13-point lead because Seattle Pacific has the momentum.
Back-to-back 3s, the first from Kahn, the second from Paulson. Seattle Pacific roaring back to life here in the waning moments of the first half.
Yeah, we talked. They were too good of an offensive team. You weren't going to be able to keep them quiet the whole half, and here they come.
Medjo returns for the Falcons for this final possession, presumably. Samore checks out. Moffitt takes his time, walking it over the timeline. Shot clock is off for the final 8 seconds here of the half. Moffitt rolls off the screen, gets into the paint, kick to the corner. Ball knocked away by John Moore. Saints might have a chance at a shot. Schumacher gathers, sets, shoots, and leaves it just a little bit short. So that will bring us to the halftime break. But a very, very strong, stout performance from the hometown Saints. They will take a 13-point lead at 42-29 into the locker room. We'll take an extended break here on the broadcast, but please rejoin us in about 12 minutes' time for a look at first half stats and a look ahead to second half action. You're listening to the Saints and the Falcons.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can, and then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, We're here to discover ourselves, our vision, our heart, our drive to achieve every goal we aim for, because we want to be champions at the highest level, life. At Division II, the opportunities are here. Are you ready?
And welcome back inside Marcus Pavilion here on the campus of St. Martin's University in the proud burg of Lacey, Washington. Saints lead at 41-29. Let's give you a quick look at some first half stats. First for the Saints, they shoot 16 of 31 from the floor. Remember that shooting percentage was well over 65% for much of the first half, so the Saints cooling off in the latter stages of the first frame. They're now at 52%, 16 of 31, 7 of 16 from three. That's good for 44%. They were 2 for 4 at the line. Leading scorers, Alex Schumacher, Tyke Thompson, 10 points apiece. Another half a dozen from Ty Velasquez. Every Saints player that stepped on the floor scored at least 2 points in the opening stanza. 11 assists on 16 made baskets. Just 3 turnovers for the Saints in the first half as well. For Seattle Pacific, they shoot 11 of 25. That percentage just kept ticking up as the first half went on. 11 for 25 from the floor. They're now 4 of 11 from 3. That's 36%. They made all 3 of their free throws. Leading scorer, only 4 players for Seattle Pacific have scored in this contest. Pecan leads the way with 9 points, 8 more for Samore, and 7 for Zach Paulson. 5 points for El Marty. Get this, no points for Henry Cavill, no points for Devontae Moffitt in that first half. You know those two are going to come out here pretty upset about that.
Yeah, I mean, those two are just too good of players. You're not going to get 0 points out of them. In my opinion, they're the 2 best players in the conference entering this year. I mean, I understand the conference might be a little more limited of a pool this year, but even in a normal year, they were still going to be at the head of my all-conference ballot. They're a good squad. But St. Martin's, the zone really gave Seattle Pacific a lot of fits in that first half, especially in the very beginnings of the game. They started to find their footing at the end of the first half, and that defense then started to lock in for Seattle Pacific, and it really gave St. Martin's a lot of troubles. So here in the first 2-3 minutes, you're interested to see how does Aaron Landon and the Saints adjust to try and get that momentum back on their side, because it really did seem like Seattle Pacific was starting to piece together what they had to do to get back into this game, and that's why that lead went down as fast as it did.
Moffitt and Cavill, it's not like either one was in foul trouble. In fact, each of them logging 18 minutes of time on the floor, but only got off 5 shots between them. So Seattle Pacific not really even, maybe perhaps doing enough to dial up plays for their 2 best players, Moffitt and Cavill. We're just about set for second half action. We'll switch everything up. The Saints will now be moving left to right on your radio dial. Seattle Pacific breaks the huddle, making their way now back onto the floor. It will be Falcons basketball to begin the second half.
And Seattle Pacific, a bucket here is going to be big. Keep that momentum going your direction. It was really a great end for them. And, I mean, really, the three-pointers are what kind of kept Seattle Pacific back into this game, with knocking down some threes there at the end. Be interested to see, though, do they try and get the ball in the hands of Cavill or Moffitt here to start?
Paulson handles for the moment. Now hands it off for Kahn. Paulson looking inside, nothing doing. Top half of that zone doing its work, as is the back end. Cavill on the drive. No look pass inside to the cutter from the weak side. Paulson gets to the spot. Quick release. And the first couple of points go on the board here in our second half. And that trims the St. Martin's advantage to 42-31. John Moore handles all 5 starters, by the way, back on the floor for either side as we begin the second half. Wang hands it off for Schumacher. Shot clock ticks under 10. Schumacher steps back, looking inside, nothing doing. Thompson comes to get it. He'll fire for 3. Got it. Tyke Thompson pick it up right where he left off. Drills a 3 to open the second frame, and the Saints push the lead back to 14. At the other end, John Moore with the steal. Comes racing down, dives into the passing lane, rips the ball away, saves it back inside. And Schumacher on the dribble. Quick hedge. Now Schumacher gets to the rack, lays it up, leaves it short. Paulson able to save it inbounds for Moffitt. Quickly ahead for Kahn. A bounce pass. El Marty unable to handle it. And the defense rotates back for St. Martin's. Falcons have to reset. Now Paulson triggers a 3. No good. Weak side rebound, John Moore. And the Saints run the floor. Wang beneath the basket alone. Has the ball deflected out of his hands. Gets it back. Now feathers a pass back up top. And Moore will reset the offense between the circles for St. Martin's.
Wow, what a whirlwind of the last minute there. I don't know how you kept up, Jeff. That was impressive.
This is the first time that we've called a game in 11 months. It does just kind of come back. It's a little bit like riding a bike, I guess, in that sense, if you know how to talk a whole bunch, which I certainly do. Schumacher airballs a three. Before the shot clock expires, rebound comes down to the Falcons, so they bring it back the other way in a soft spot in the defense. Kahn knocks down his 4-3. We have our third scorer on the night in double figures. He matches Schumacher's total at 12 on the strength of 4 made threes. And the Falcons back with an 11. And Aaron Landon perhaps sensing that something's not quite right with his dudes. We'll call a quick 30-second timeout.
Yeah, and there it is again. Seattle Pacific just running a play right for that corner, and it's a 3-ball for Kahn. And he's been sitting in that soft part of the zone, just a shooter mentality. I'm going to sit right in my spot, right where I want to be, and I'm going to wait for the defense to kind of forget about me a little bit. If I'm not moving around a lot, it becomes easy for teams to start watching the ball a little bit. And so he's just sitting right where he wants to be, and he's connecting on his shots. And right there, once again, Seattle Pacific using the corner 3 to get back into this game. And look, we knew this was not going to be a 40-point barn burner by any stretch. Seattle Pacific is too good of a squad to let that happen. And so, going forward, I think for the Saints, what they have to do, they have to get the ball in the hands of Tyke Thompson and Marky Adams a little bit more on the offensive end. Those are, in my opinion, your 2 best scorers on the floor. And on the defensive end, settle back into that zone. I think it was giving them, Seattle Pacific, a little bit of trouble in that beginning. And the most important part of the zone is that middle front piece, because they're kind of directing where that ball is going to go. Saints need to be able to control that zone and that ball movement at the top.
Interesting stat for the Falcons fans out there among the audience. Henry Cavill is yet to make a shot tonight and still scoreless from the floor. He's got 6 assists in this game. Doing a very fine job of setting his teammates up, just has not yet found his way into the scoring ledger.
And that's what good players do. They find ways to help the team win in any situation.
Thompson rolls off a screen, now reverses to Moore. No-look pass for Adams, who moves in along the baseline. Muscles a shot up and in. Look at Marky Adams. By the way, Marky Adams has really rededicated himself to the game of basketball in the offseason. Aaron Landon loves his work ethic. He's in the weight room every morning, and you're starting to see it pay dividends as he is in fantastic shape, perhaps the best shape of his life as he heads into his senior year. Kahn will try for 3. This one from the opposite corner, and he buries it. His 5th made 3 of the game, and Kahn now with a game-high 15 points. Saints are going to have to mark him up a little bit better as this game wears on. Or into the hands of Schumacher. Guarded at the top of the key by Moffitt. Cut off for the moment. Now regathers in the corner. Adams on the repost. Double team sags on him for a second. Now Schumacher on the drive. A lot of contact, no call. And the rebound comes down to Cabot. Quickly ahead to Moffitt. Tries to cross over on Coddington. He bothered him for the moment. Now an off-balance bounce pass from Kahn. He gets it back. Whistles it into the high post at the elbow extended for Moffitt. Not looking to shoot. Instead sets up Kahn for another 3. And he knocks it down. 6 threes in the contest now. And it's a 7-point game. Don't look now. The Falcons right back in this thing at 47-40 as we move toward the 16-minute mark.
And just like you said, Jeff, I know Cavill and Moffitt are the big weapons, but you have to start marking Kahn. He has to become the first guy you pick up on the court.
However, and the Saints have done this throughout the contest, just when the Falcons look like they are starting to burst back through and into this game, the Saints with another timely shot. This one from Tyke Thompson, give him 16 points on the night as he knocks down another 3. And quickly, a timeout on the floor, 15:57 to play. It's a 10-point lead for the Saints over the Falcons on the GNAC Digital Network.
Every time a student learns something new, makes a discovery, or helps a team, it's not just good for that student, it's good for the whole community. At St. Martin's University, we know the impact a well-prepared graduate can have on the world. That's why last year, we extended more than $15 million in scholarships to our students. Because the more we invest in them, the brighter the future becomes for all of us.
Ten-point lead for the Saints, just under 16 left to play. This thing's starting to really flow at the offensive end of the floor for either team. Falcons with an 11-point burst in the first 4 minutes of the second half. They have stayed within shouting distance. Saints' biggest lead of the night at 19 a couple of different times, 37-18 and 42-23. Well, that lead now about cut in half, as you can't cut an actual 19-point lead in half.
I mean, you can try your best, but I don't
think
know if
it's
you're going to be able
possible
to do that one. One thing I do want to bring up, I did notice in the chat, yes, the score on the stats is off by 1 point. So the score on your screen is correct. It is 50-40. The stats are showing the Saints with one less point. We have noticed that, so thank you.
Some more. Kicks it back out. Now gets it back. Puts it on the deck. Tries to get around Adams. Adams equal to the task. Blocks the shot. Gathers it in. Earns the Saints an extra possession. Great defense from Marky Adams. He's sneaky quick. He's so hard to get around. Some more tried and learned the hard way that time on the business end of a block shot. Thompson works his way into a tough 18-footer along the baseline. Leaves it short. Transition opportunity for the Falcons. Cavill fouled on the three by DeMonte Malloy. And Cavill with an opportunity to work his way onto the scoring sheet for the first time in this game. He will head to the line for not one, not two, but three foul shots.
Now let's go ahead and take a look at that block again. Marky Adams just moving his feet well, staying in front of his defender, coming up with the block, what he does so well.
And an impressive thing, too, about that block, Austin, he kept the ball in bounds. He didn't just swat it into the Falcons bench behind the basket. He blocked it right in front of himself, was able to gather it, and earn the Saints that possession.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think he has 3, maybe 4 blocks in this game.
That was his third in the game.
Third game. I mean, you know, again, like I said earlier in the broadcast, the Saints' defense is different when Marky Adams is on the floor. It really changes a lot because you have to be heads up that there is the best shot blocker in the conference waiting down low. If you somehow get through that zone defense, you got to deal with Marky Adams.
And when you say he's the best shot blocker in the conference, we mean the whole conference.
Yes.
We don't just mean the 3-team conference of this season between Nazarene, Seattle Pacific, and the Saints. We're talking about all 10 teams. He is the best rim protector in the GNAC, no doubt about it. Thompson handles, picked up by Cavill. Hands it off. Coddington a little out of control. Gathers himself. Hands it off for Malloy. He drives. Malloy forces him toward the baseline beneath the basket. Now hands it off to Thompson. On the drive goes glass. No good. Rebound yanked down by some more. He puts it on the deck. Look at the big man run the floor. Leading the break. Hands it off for Cavill. Kicks to the corner. Another con three on the way. That one rattles off. Some more, though. Has the rebound tapped back into his hand by Sion Blackman. And now Blackman triggers for 3. 4-point game. The Saints' lead has evaporated. Malloy for 3 at the other end with the answer. Huge corner 3 from DeMonte Malloy.
Well, you said it, Jeff. Every time Seattle Pacific starts creeping closer and closer, the Saints are able to come up with a big-time 3.
Some more moving right to left, able to knock down the mid-range jump shot over Adams. Back to a 5-point game. Velasquez thinks about it. He reverses it into the hands of Malloy. Thompson handles. There's Cavill on him. This has been a fun matchup tonight. Thompson has really gotten the better of Cavill. Now Malloy for 3 again. That one glances off the side of the rim, and it'll roll out of bounds. So a 5-point lead for the Saints, but momentum really starting to shift toward the squad in Burgundy. The defending GNAC regular season champs from a season ago, knocked off in the semifinals. Only one team earned a bye in the GNAC postseason tournament. They were able to get the full tournament in. Remember, the season was stopped just before the national tournament was set to begin. 2 teams were going to represent the GNAC in the Division II National Tournament last year. This Seattle Pacific squad at 22-7 in the regular season champs. Western Washington was kind of the surprise winner in the conference tournament, but they earned the automatic bid, so the GNAC was set to send 2 teams to the national tournament after last season. But it never got off the ground, much like the rest of the college basketball season. Lead now down to 3. After some more puts that one back.
Yeah, this has just been a complete 180 in momentum, and you can feel it. I know the crowd isn't here, but you can feel it inside the gym right now. Seattle Pacific is very confident on the floor, but nearly goes in for Goy.
Goy Wang with a nice drive, but comes up just short. Moffitt the other way. Kahn drives. Inside it goes. Nice look inside from Harry Cavill. Another assist, this time setting up Sion Blackman, and it's a 1-point game. Seattle Pacific has virtually come all the way back from a 19-point first-half deficit, and they didn't waste much time to get there. There's a ton of time left in this game, and it's a brand-new game at that. 53-52 our score. Aaron Landon needs a timeout, and we'll take it with him. Well, hang on to your hats, folks. This one might come down to the wire. 12:43 to play. A ton of basketball left on the other side of this break.
Opportunity to me means doing the things that will make you a better future. I always dreamed of graduating from college. So being the first one in my family to graduate, it meant everything my parents sacrificed was paying off. Having an athletic scholarship for the University of Mount Olive was key for my success. I had the opportunity to not only get an education, but be able to develop as an individual.
A 29-11 run for Seattle Pacific, if I'm doing the math right in my head, and I'm pretty sure I am. It was 42-23 Saints, now 53-52 Saints. The weirdest thing to me about this rally, Austin, Cavill and Moffitt still not getting involved at the offensive end. It's the other guys on this team that are picking up the offensive slack and that have pulled Seattle Pacific back into this game.
Yeah, and it's been Kahn knocking down those threes. What's happened is the Saints have had to expand that zone. It's opening up more lanes down low, and that's why the last few possessions, Seattle Pacific able to go down low and get some easy looks. It's because the Saints are having to worry so much about that outside shot.
Schumacher muscles up a tough one in the paint at the other end. Lead back to 3. Now Moffitt on the drive. Guarded closely by Malloy. Bodies him up. Now a 3 on the way, and it's good.
Wow.
Rattled home. Kelton Samore ties the game as we hit the 12-minute mark of the second half.
Yeah, he's really impressed me these last few minutes, Samore. He's done a great job on the offensive end and now knocking down the 3. He's doing it all for him.
Schumacher up top. Drives on Kahn. Gets into the paint. Rolls off a shot. Won't fall. Some more the rebound, and look at this. Seattle Pacific with an opportunity to take the lead, and it's going to happen thanks to Devontae Moffitt getting all the way to the rack. Saints defense just caught standing still. And SPU with their first lead since the first basket of this game was scored.
Yeah, and I think what that was right there was Saints tried to pressure Moffitt and to try and slow down the ball coming up the court, so it gave their defense time to set. Instead, Moffitt's able to get around his defender. He's able to go right down, and the Saints weren't ready for him. He blows right past the defense, and they have a lead. Great response from Seattle Pacific. I mean, a lot of teams might look up and go, first game of the year, kind of inside the normal realm, and you're down by 20. We'll get them tomorrow. They've battled right back. They're a veteran squad. They're a good team.
11:22 left to play. We'll take a break with Seattle Pacific with their first lead of the game since 2-0 when this game was just in its infancy. Come back on the other side of this break.
NCAA Division II, community engagement is an initiative at all 25 national championships because student athletes want to give back while competing for a national title. Over the course of the year, Division II student athletes have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression in local communities throughout the country. Whether Division II student athletes are volunteering at hospitals, schools, after-school care programs, foster homes, or retirement villages, they make a difference in the lives of others. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours. For the first 28 and a half minutes of this game,
Seattle Pacific's leading scorer, Devontae Moffitt, had been held scoreless. He finally breaks through, scores his first points. And Austin, those first 2 points of the game give Seattle Pacific its first lead since 2-0.
Yeah, and Seattle Pacific is missing a lot of weapons already coming into this game. And then you tell me Moffitt and Cavill aren't going to be scoring their normal points. I would have told you, well, looks like St. Martin's has got a really good shot, especially with a 20-point lead. Seattle Pacific, this is what great teams do. They step up, they find other options until you can get those main weapons rolling again. And here we go. I mean, it's a whole new ball game. You got 10 minutes left. It's anyone's game.
Saints basketball as we begin this next possession. That pass goes through the hands and outside to Alex Schumacher, who sets up Malloy. His three no good. Moffitt the other way. Paulson in the corner. And Seattle Pacific will back it out and run their stuff.
Saints now in a man-to-man defense. One of the first times we've seen this as well. Like you said, Jeff, they're going to roll more to this look this year.
Moore giving up some height. Nearly gets hooked right there by Kelton Samore. Good defense. Cavill whistles a pass back to Samore. On the drive, nearly travels. I think he did. Landon certainly thought he did. No whistle. And it's a 4-point lead for Seattle Pacific. How about Samore in the game he's having? Give him 17 points now in this game.
That's a quiet 17. He's really playing well. Again, you need other weapons to step up, and him and Kahn have been the driving force for the Falcons tonight.
What a tremendous second half he has turned in as well. Schumacher spins off a defender right into the face of another. Now drives, gets to the rack, goes glass, lays it in. Good looking drive from Alex Schumacher. Such a spectacular athlete, and we saw it on full display as he works his way to the rack. Cuts the lead back to 2. Some more again inside. Absorbs the contact, lays it in. He'll head to the line for the and one. John Moore just giving up a lot of height to Samore, doing everything he can. Moore's a good defender. He can guard guys 1 through 4, but that is a tough matchup. Kelton Samore, 6'9", a transfer from American out of Portland, but started his career at the D1 level out in the Patriot League for American University in D.C. Redshirted last year. And Kelton Samore, you're starting to see why he earned a scholarship out of high school anyway to go play some Division I basketball.
Yeah, and what Seattle Pacific was doing there was they were taking advantage of the fact that the Saints were playing a man-to-man defense, and there wasn't Marky Adams down low. So they didn't have that traditional, center on the floor. And so you're going to use the size and height any day of the week, and it resulted in baskets. And now that's why Marky Adams checks back onto the floor. Seattle Pacific's able to go give some rest. And now you kind of bring in someone else as Marky's on the floor, and you hope to kind of do that switch once again later.
El Marty back on the floor alongside Marky Adams, the 2 more traditional post players now back on the floor for either team. Ball rolls out of bounds, last touched by the Falcons, so we'll keep it at the Saints end. 20 seconds on the shot clock.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out as well, this game has been called very even across both sides. The officials are doing a great job. They're letting the players just play here tonight. We really haven't had a lot of fouls in this one. I hope I'm not announcer jinxing this one. But they've done a phenomenal job, and they're calling it very consistently across both sides.
Nearly a foul on Cavill. Instead, Thompson brings it down, hoists a shot from the elbow, extended right in the cheese of Harry Cavill. Tyke Thompson with 18 points. Man, is he a good player.
I think he's going to be the
have
leading
him for
scorer.
4 years here.
Yeah.
For St. Martin's as well.
He's
This
just got
season
leading
plus
scorer.
3 more.
He's got leading scorer written all over him. He's got that shooter mentality. He's going to be a great player. Saints going to need to find who are going to be those pieces that step up around him and can build around.
Cavill with his first bucket from the field here in this game. He does have the 3 free throws. Now Moore fires for 3 right in the face of Devontae Moffitt and knocks it down. Saints back within 2, 64-62. Exactly 9 minutes left in their contest. Remember, these 2 teams going right back at it tomorrow night here in Marcus Pavilion again. Beautiful no-look pass from Moffitt, sets up El Marty. He finishes. Back to a 4-point bulge for Seattle Pacific. Velasquez hands it off for Moore. Thompson between the circles. 1 dribble. Schumacher now faces up on Moffitt. Drives. Fakes one way, comes back the other, hands it off for Thompson. Adams with the putback. That won't go. Rebound in a lot of traffic, hauled down by El Marty. Quickly ahead to Moffitt. Tries to step around the defender, and a whistle called. A foul going to be charged against the Saints' Ty Velasquez. I agree with you, Austin. This has been a pretty well officiated game. Refs, for the most part, keeping the whistle in the pocket. Just 5 combined fouls here in the second half as we near the 8-minute mark. 3 on the Saints, 2 on Seattle Pacific.
Yeah, it's just you're letting the two teams go at each other tonight, and it's a phenomenal basketball game. Man, you couldn't have asked for a better way to start this 21 abbreviated season.
Moffitt cut off by Adams. Forces a pass to the corner. Don't know how he got it over there, but he did. He's just really strong, as it turns out. Weak side rebound. El Marty hauls it down and cleans up on the offensive glass. And Seattle Pacific with their biggest lead at 6, 68-62, under 8 to play. Moore pulls up in the lane. A lot of contact again, no call. They're really letting a lot of stuff go. And a timeout on the floor. I would have really preferred to see that whistle get blown, as Moore obviously fouled on that shot attempt. But no whistle, we play on. Or anyway, we will as soon as we return from this break. 7:48 left in our contest. Seattle Pacific now enjoying a 6-point lead.
Every time a student learns something new, makes a discovery, or helps a team, it's not just good for that student, it's good for the whole community. At St. Martin's University, we know the impact a well-prepared graduate can have on the world. That's why last year, we extended more than $15 million in scholarships to our students. Because the more we invest in them, the brighter the future becomes, for all of us.
Well, I'm sure it comes as no surprise at all to the Seattle Pacific fans joining us on the broadcast tonight to see a player like Kelton Samore get off in the way that he has. He's got 20 points and 9 rebounds. Those 20 points coming on a very efficient 9 of 11 from the floor. All this happening in just 17 minutes of play. Austin, I didn't really scout Kelton Samore very much leading up to this broadcast, but going forward, I have learned my lesson. This dude is for real. A former D1 basketball player out of Portland, probably played against some pretty tough competition coming out of high school down in the Portland metro area. This dude is going to be here for a while. He's a redshirt freshman, a real cornerstone building piece for Grant Leap going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I considered Seattle Pacific kind of have a big 3 in Cavill, Moffitt. He's not in today, Shaw, Anderson.
Yep.
I kind of think those were their big 3, but you add a piece like that down low to this team, that makes them scary good. And like you were saying earlier, Jeff, this was a team that they were going to make a deep run, I believe, in the NCAA tournament last year before that got called off. If as of right now there is an NCAA tournament, I think Seattle Pacific, if they can, kind of regroup and get some wins, because, again, you only need 12 games to get into that tournament, Seattle Pacific can make a really deep run for a tournament.
They look inside for El Marty. Not much space there. Adams, another block. I mean, you could almost give 3 different Saints credit for that block. We'll give it to Adams. I believe it was his hand that got to the ball that met him at the apex. So I'm, anyway, going to credit Marky Adams with his 4th block on the night. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Moffitt whistles it inside. It's deflected and into the hands of John Moore. He races the other way. Crosses right to left, gets into the paint, picks up his dribble, gets tied up in the paint, and a traveling is called. Could have sworn we were going to get a jump ball called right there. Instead, referee signals for traveling. There were 2 Saints with their hands on the ball, to be fair, but there was also a lot of hand fighting going on for the ball with a couple different Seattle Pacific players in the paint. Nevertheless, it's called a travel, and the turnover gives it back to Seattle Pacific, who have erased a 19-point deficit with the quickness here in the first 7.5 minutes of the second half, and they now enjoy a 6-point lead. Time winding down. We're at 7:15 to play.
Yeah, this will be an interesting thing to watch. Well, Seattle Pacific, they've been kind of playing a more up-tempo offense, just kind of getting the shot early. Will they keep going to that, or will they start scaling back a little bit to try and start draining that clock down? I'd like to see them keep their foot on the pedal. It's working right now for you. If you get that shot, don't be afraid to take it early.
Cavill bluffs it a 3, now drives. Switches right to left. Wow. Somehow the shot will fall. Where in the world did Harry Cavill pull that out of his bag of tricks? Alex Schumacher falls down as the inbounds pass goes over his head, goes right out of bounds. It'll be ball back to Seattle Pacific. I believe it'll be underneath the basket. Cavill is standing over here on the sideline, but since no Saint touched it, it should just go back to the baseline, and it will. So an 8-point lead now for Seattle Pacific. That is a 27-point turnaround, and they got an opportunity to build on it here again. The ball out of bounds beneath their own basket. 6:50 to play. So just as everything went so well for St. Martin's in the first half of play, Austin, things have just gone exactly in the other direction for them at both ends of the floor here in the second half.
Yeah, and I think for the Saints, if they want to get back into this game, it starts on the defensive end where you were locked in the beginning, able to take shots away from the Falcons. That was resulting in you getting out into transition more easily and getting some easier baskets that way. They got to lock in on that defensive end first.
12 on the shot clock. El Marty takes the pass as Seattle Pacific methodically works their way down into the teeth of the zone. And now a 10-point lead for the Falcons. Malloy on the drive, spins into a double team, picks up his dribble, kicks to Schumacher. He'll drive. Floater as he falls out of bounds. No good. Adams with the putback jam. Marky Adams just gathers it in and raises and flushes it with one hand. 72-64, 6:10 to play. Moffitt hands it off for Kahn, guarded by Velasquez. Schumacher tried to jump the passing lane. Velasquez does instead. Wraparound dribble behind his back in transition. Kahn beats him to the basket, rakes him across the arm, but Velasquez will head to the line after making a stellar defensive play, ripping the pass out of the lane, brings it the other way. He'll head to the line for two shots.
And there's Marky Adams once again. The big man just delivers. He's consistent. You know the effort you're going to get out of him day in and day out. And one thing that's going to be very hard for him this year is the fact that we're playing games back-to-back now. There is no longer that day of rest. So I'll be interested to see how he does tomorrow with only 24 hours of rest. But he is putting in the effort. You can never question, is Marky Adams out there giving it 110%, because he's probably giving it 150% in all honesty.
You bring up an interesting point, and that's the nice thing, I guess, about being 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, is that you probably can turn around and rally. But, yes, this is a very different kind of season. Remember that in the GNAC you play Thursday, Saturday. You do get that day of rest between your games when you have with your travel partner. In this case, Seattle Pacific is the Saints' travel partner, so they will travel to, say, Billings and Nazarene to play them on Thursday and Saturday. But all games this season, in the shortened season that we've got, back-to-back games between the three schools competing in basketball in the GNAC. El Marty puts back his own miss. Builds a lead back to 10, 76-66. Saints quickly ahead. Velasquez fires from deep. Nails it. Ty Velasquez knocks down the three. Check that. It was a 74-66 game a moment ago as Velasquez had knocked down two free throws. Now he triggers the long ball and pulls the Saints within 5. So 5 consecutive points for the newcomer Ty Velasquez. And the Saints trying to claw their way back in as we wind down toward the 5-minute mark of this game. Saints back in the zone. Coddington at the top of it. Down low it comes for El Marty. Nearly travels. Shot no good. Couple of Saints there for the rebound. And it's Malloy who clears it. Ahead to Velasquez. Hesitates and accelerates. Gets past the defender but picks up his dribble in the paint. Saints reset into the hands of Tyke Thompson.
I'd like to see
now here on the near side. Triggers for 3. Looked good from here, but it just does roll off.
I'd like to see the Saints try and get the ball more in the hands of Tyke. His wonderful move. It just doesn't go in for Moffitt. And now we're going to have a foul underneath the basket. But for the Saints, Tyke Thompson's your best offensive player. You need to find a way to get him the ball, just at least one design look. And then if he doesn't have anything there, okay, now roll out. But Tyke has to get at least one look.
That was the second foul whistled against Mehdi El Marty for the Falcons. He takes a seat, as does Sion Blackman. Saints now back within 5 with possession. Coddington gets past his man, but it's whistled for the offensive foul. Man, what a tough break. He may have gotten that forearm extended. Kahn certainly went flying. It was, if nothing else, a great sell from Sharif Khan as he goes tumbling out of bounds. The shot fell, but wave it off. It remains a 5-point game. That's a big, big play right there.
Yeah, Saints just need to stay locked in on the defensive zone. They're starting to play a lot better here in these last few possessions, but they're allowing that pass right to that free throw line. And now you're going to have just a Cavill deep three, but he connects. What a great player.
That is an enormous turn of events. The offensive foul called against Velasquez. Wave off his shot that would have cut the lead to 3. Instead, it's a step-back 3 for Cavill at the other end, burying it in the eye of Marky Adams. And just like that, it's back to an 8-point advantage as we hit the 4-minute mark here in the game. Velasquez guarded well out away from the action by Moffitt. Picks up his dribble, bothered. Now they throw it inside for Adams on a lob, but he can't quite finish at the rim. Saints able to bat it back into the hands of Velasquez. They will reset things. Velasquez on the drive. High off the glass, and it goes! What a shot from Ty Velasquez, able to connect. Saints continue to fight here in the closing moments of the game. They once had a commanding 19-point lead in the first half of this game, but it is the Falcons by 6, under 3.5 to play. Cavill matched up on Adams. Can't get past him, leaves it for Kahn. Now Moffitt on the drive. Double team comes. Whistle. Foul was on the floor. So wave off the basket. It was an impressive basket, I gotta say.
Absolutely.
I'm not quite sure how Moffitt was even able to get that off with 2 defenders draped all over him. He does draw the foul. It will be SPU ball out of bounds. A shot clock will reset to 20 with 3:17 left to play. Folks, don't go anywhere. A ton of time left in this game, but right now it's advantage Falcons. 3:17 left on the GNAC Digital Network. Well, the first half, it was all Saints. Second half, it has been all Falcons. A tale of 2 halves, to be sure. Austin, it was such an impressive display for the Saints, but they're so young, and we've seen it happen a few times where they will wrest control of a game only to have it slip away in the second half because they just can't sustain the momentum, especially against a team as dangerous and as good as Seattle Pacific.
Yeah, first, Jeff, I just want to say I don't know how you were in my head because you took the first line of my story right out of there with Tale of 2 Halves. But Seattle Pacific, they're a great squad.
I'm a master of the dark arts, by the way.
There we go. Seattle Pacific, great team, and they're going to stay locked in for a full 40. It's something that we saw last year from them. This is a team that's never going to quit. And so the Saints needed to keep, and it's hard to keep that kind of defensive pressure for a full 40. You know, you're going to have runs back and forth, but Seattle Pacific has done a great job adjusting, finding some other weapons, and finding what's working for them here tonight. It's just a team with a lot of depth on the offensive end.
Moffitt comes out to get it, skips it to the corner into the hands of Samore, back on the floor. Feathers up a shot along the baseline from 12 feet, knocks it home, draws the foul. And that is a dagger. Man, oh man, that's a backbreaker. Pushes the lead back to 8. With an opportunity at 9. Samore again continues this reign of terror here in the second half. He's now 10 for 12 from the floor. Give him 22 points, 9 boards. Just 19 minutes of time on the floor tonight. Make it 23 as he hits the free throw. And just like that, the lead back to 9. 3 minutes exactly to play here in our ball game.
Yeah, he's just been the player of the game for me here tonight.
Absolutely.
What an impact he has been.
Schumacher handles. Velasquez thinks about a 3, now drives. Little one-handed floater off the glass will go. Beautiful runner from Velasquez, who's really stitched together himself a quite a nice little ball game. Give him 15 points on tonight's contest. Ty Velasquez.
Yeah, we were talking in the break. He's really impressing me. He's coming in, wasn't sure what to expect, just kind of a late signee, but man, what a pickup for Aaron Landon and his squad.
Saints need stops in a hurry, and they get one. Cavill just gets his feet tangled up beneath him. wanted a call, but he more or less just tripped over his own foot or the three-point line, one or the other. In any case, it's a turnover, exactly what the Saints needed. As time is at a premium here for St. Martin's. They trail by 7, but they have possession with 2:21 to play. The 5 on the floor for the Saints. Schumacher, who handles. Thompson, Malloy, Moore, and Velasquez. Schumacher rolls off the Thompson screen. Reverses it back for Malloy. Now down low it comes for Thompson. Skips it back for Moore. He'll drive. Gets all the way to the rack. No one collapses back on him. And John Moore pulls the Saints within 5. 2 minutes to play. Excellent execution for the Saints.
Yeah, I thought it was a mistake for Thompson to pass, and then Moore just breaks away from his defender. That turned out real well for the Saints, but they had a great mismatch on Thompson with Moffitt.
Moore commits a foul.
You have fouls to give.
You do have fouls to give. Well, no, that actually puts Seattle Pacific in the bonus. We were looking at the wrong side of the scoreboard.
Yeah, we both
there.
did the first game for both of us. But yeah, so that's a costly foul then. I'll go ahead and flip the script on that one.
Well, it looked like Landon must have been calling for it because Moore clearly wanted to send Moffitt to the free throw line. He does earn the bonus by making the first of these 1-and-1 free throws. Moffitt good on the second, so it's back to a 3-possession game. 82-75, a $1:45 to play. Schumacher quickly into the front court. Looks around, surveys. Finds Velasquez. Now Schumacher down in the post on Blackman. Shot won't fall, but Schumacher will head to the stripe. 5th foul whistled against the Falcons here in the second half.
Yeah, I think Shu got away with one there. I think that was an offensive foul right before that. He extended his arm.
Could have gone either way.
Yeah, so I think the Saints got lucky on that call for sure. But, again, you're going to need, I think the Saints maybe watch for maybe even a 3-quarter press here if you're able to set up off of a make after this first miss. If the Saints can set up here an inbounds play, maybe look for that 3-quarter press to try and get the Falcons to maybe turn the ball over and get something going on the offensive end.
Shahid Khan and his 18 points return to the floor. 6 of 8 from the 3-point line tonight is Shahid Khan. Big part of how Seattle Pacific was not only able to erase that lead, but take control of this game here in the second half. And you're right, Austin. The Saints will look to pick up pressure after the Schumacher makes the second of 2 free throws. I'm not quite sure what we've got. I heard a whistle blow, and
they're going to call a dead ball foul on Schumacher. Him and Moffitt kind of got tied up a little bit. They had called Schumacher for a delay game. He kind of tipped the ball a bit, and then that one they got tied up, and they're going to call a dead ball foul. So that's going to send the Falcons straight to the free throw line.
Still just a 1-and-1 for Moffitt. He was good on both a moment ago. And he earns the bonus again. These two teams will go right back at it tomorrow night, Austin. 24 hours from now, we'll be right back here doing it all over again.
I mean, if tonight is any indication of how good tomorrow night can be, I mean, wow. I mean, we got what a game here so far. And tomorrow night, I think we're going to see more of the same. Seattle Pacific, great team. I think the Saints up-and-coming team in this conference.
Velasquez accelerates toward the rack. Scoops up a shot, up and under, no good. Ball comes down to Moffitt. Pressure in the backcourt. And Malloy commits the foul in backcourt on some more. That is the 9th team foul on the Saints. So another 1-and-1, but the last one of the night for the Falcons. They will be in the double bonus the rest of the way.
Yeah, you're going to have to start hitting some threes if you're St. Martin's. Tyke, 4 of 7 from beyond the arc. He's kind of your big 3-point shooter. That's who I'd be trying to get the ball to, set up maybe a screen, a pick and roll for Tyke to be able to try and get a shot off.
Here's a number that really jumps out to me, Austin. look at where Seattle Pacific is shooting from the floor at this point in the game.
Yeah.
57% now from the floor.
Yeah, shoot 70% in the second half.
70% in the second half. That is just a bonkers figure for the Falcons.
Now, credit them. They did a great job of, St. Martin's threw the first punch or two for sure, maybe even the first 3 punches in this game. But Seattle Pacific did a great job regrouping, figuring out, what's going to work tonight against this defense. And St. Martin's hasn't been able to find a way to get Seattle Pacific out of that rhythm.
Schumacher on the drive. Gets all the way to the rack, lays it in. Comes down hard. Let's hope he's okay. He's clutching at his elbow as he staggers back to his feet. Moffitt leaks out. We'll take it to the rack. Raises for the two-handed flush. And fans, that might just about do it. A 10-point lead for the Falcons. Schumacher for 3. Rebound caroms out and into the hands of Paulson. Fouled by Malloy. And this one certainly beginning, if it wasn't already, to slip away from the Saints. 47 seconds, and they trail by 10.
I think if you're a St. Martin's fan, obviously losing a 19-point lead at home is never easy, but at the same time, you're playing one of the best teams, not just in the region, in my opinion, in the country. And you had a very strong showing here tonight. You played really well across the board. Obviously, the second half, a team shooting 70% from the floor. The whole team just kind of caught fire in the second half. But, there's a lot of pieces. There's a lot of promise for this Saints team. It's a young Saints team still.
By the way, that free throw from Paulson puts Seattle Pacific at 60 points here in the second half. They scored 29 in the first half. They're now at 61 points here in the second half on the strength of that 70% shooting here in the second frame. Velasquez triggers the long 3. It falls off. Gobbles up the rebound. Gobbles one of those anyway, and he'll head to the line.
Yeah, again, storylines I think going into tomorrow is going to be how do the teams deal with only 24 hours, not even 24 hours of rest. I mean, we're tipping off at 6 p.m. tomorrow. It's about 8 o'clock here when we wrap up. So, how do you deal with only 22 hours, especially for Seattle Pacific? They got to make the 60-mile drive back up to Seattle. You got class tomorrow morning, and then you're back on the bus and you're here in the afternoon. So, that's definitely going to be a test for sure. But all in all, though, Jeff, I think we couldn't have asked for a more exciting game to start off the 2021 year. It kind of had a little bit of everything. Had defense at the beginning, had offense in the second half. Great performances. Some more. What a breakout day it was for him.
Saints were flat out electrifying through the first 20 minutes of this game. I guess you could almost say Saints were electrifying for the first 18 and a half minutes of this game. They really kind of, if you want to trace this back to where this rally began, it was in the closing moments when Seattle Pacific was able to get the lead back from 19 to 13 to close the first half. The Saints got a little lackadaisical at both ends of the floor, sagged off of shooters, allowed back-to-back threes in the final minute of the first half. A couple of ill-advised shots perhaps at the other end of the floor as well mixed in. Saints, you even made the comment they were sort of coasting to get into the second half, into the halftime break. And that's where it all began for Seattle Pacific. Now think about that. If the Saints had been able to extend that lead, which was at 42-23 with about 2 minutes left in that first half, the Saints had built that to 45-23, 47-23, and even if Seattle Pacific had come back, they're still looking at a 20-point deficit coming out. That's a huge mental obstacle to get around. If it's a 20-point lead for the Saints heading into halftime instead of 13, who knows where this game might have gone here in the second half.
Yeah, that's why a lot of coaches will talk about the first 2 and final 2, talking about what happens in those opening minutes and closing minutes. Seattle Pacific gained the momentum at the end of the first half. They carried that momentum out of halftime, and that's what helped them come away with a victory here tonight.
Falcons will just dribble it out. These two teams will say their goodbyes for now, but they will be right back at it here in just about 22 hours worth of time. Your final score, Seattle Pacific 91, St. Martin's 81. Fans, we're not done with the broadcast. We're going to take a very quick break, but we'll give you an abbreviated post-game show, including a couple quick shout-outs that I have to squeeze into this broadcast. The St. Martin's men's basketball post-game show is coming up on the other side of this break.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can, and then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves, our vision, our heart, our drive, to achieve every goal we aim for, because we want to be champions at the highest level, life. At Division II, the opportunities are here. Are you ready?
And welcome back inside Marcus Pavilion for the St. Martin's men's basketball post-game show. Jeff Lucero alongside my main man, Austin Burns. And real quick before we dive into some numbers here for this contest, I got to get a couple quick shout-outs. The first one to McEarl, Saints legend, hung in there with the broadcast all night. Great to see him still hanging around here within the St. Martin's community and family after graduating last spring. So good to have him now here on the staff at St. Martin's. Also want to shout out my mom real quick. She had a hip replacement surgery today. And Mom, I hope you're healing up back in Kansas, feeling okay. So those are my two shout-outs. You know what? Let's keep it balanced. Let's shout out George Parker real quick as well, the volunteer assistant coach for the Falcons. He's a long-time he's a St. Martin's alumnus, but he's a long-time contributor to the St. Martin's family here, but he's been serving in a volunteer coaching capacity for the Falcons. I meant to mix in a shout-out to him earlier in the broadcast, never quite got around to it, but George Parker, always great to see him back here in Marcus Pavilion on the staff for Seattle Pacific.
Yeah, also a member of our board of trustees, yes. George Parker, and, what a job they've done this year, last semester going into this semester, to keep our campus open and safe. Shout out to what leadership has allowed this university to do during this time. It has not been easy, but they've done a phenomenal job. So, like you said, Jeff, huge shout out to them. What a special group of people.
It was a special first half for the Saints, but it was an even more special second half for Seattle Pacific. In that second half tonight for the Falcons, get a load of this. They shot an even 70% from the floor. They were 6 of 9 from 3. They were 14 of 15 from the charity stripe in the second half, just unconscious from every spot on the floor. Seattle Pacific winds up winning this game after trailing by as many as 19 points at a couple different durations of the first half, winning tonight by 10. That's a 29-point swing. Even my dumb brain can figure out that math. 62 second-half points for the Falcons. 6 different players wind up in double figures, paced by Selt Samore's effort. 25 on the night, plus 9 boards in just 22 minutes of time on the floor. 18 points for Sharif Khan, all from behind the three-point line. 6 of 8 from 3 was Khan on the night. 13 points for El Marty on 6 of 8 shooting. 11 points apiece for Cavill, who was held scoreless for about the first 30 minutes of this game, winds up in double figures. Also led the team with 7 assists. 11 points as well for Zach Paulson. Moffitt finally chipped in with 8 points and another 7 assists of his own. So Moffitt and Cavill combined for 14 assists in this ballgame. For the night, they shoot 58% from the floor, 50% from deep, and 94% from the free throw line. For the Saints, 3 players in double figures. Alex Schumacher finishes with 20 on 7 of 18 from the floor. He also had a team-high 5 assists. 18 points for Tyke Thompson. Finishes with 5 rebounds as well. 15 points for Ty Velasquez off the bench on 5 of 10 shooting. He was 3 for 6 from beyond the arc. Just 22 minutes to get those 15 points for Velasquez. Next high score was Marky Adams with 9, 8 points for John Moore. But a lot of encouragement, a lot of signs of encouragement for the Saints squad, especially, obviously, pretty much all of them coming in that first half of play. They were so good at both ends of the floor. They were playing perfect defense, which then set up like very efficient offense. That's one of the things that I think people tend to forget sometimes about the game of basketball. Defensive intensity breeds offensive productivity. We saw that on display first from the Saints in the first half and then from Seattle Pacific in a big way here in the second half.
Yeah, and for me, some of the big standout points were the three-point shooting from Kahn in the first half. That's what really kept Seattle. It was the only offense, honestly, that Seattle Pacific had rolling, efficiently. And that allowed them just to hang in enough that all of a sudden now you get some more going, and then you start getting some other pieces going, and then you're able to come back into it. And their defense locked down in the second half. It absolutely did. And for the Saints, we didn't get to see a whole lot from players like Seth Coddington. I think he's going to be a name you're going to hear a lot on the broadcast this year. Big plans for him, but it's really just first game. I know you had the Seattle U game, but that was kind of right out of pods. Team wasn't really set, ready to go. This was kind of their first game, and it's been a long time to get here. Honestly, at the end of the day, I was very impressed with what the Saints were able to do against a very good squad, and I think St. Martin's has a very bright future. It's just about getting, figuring out some roles for some guys and figuring out where guys plug in and operate the best. I think the Saints team is going to be just fine.
And credit Grant Leap. That guy can coach.
He's a great coach.
Now in his 5th year at the helm of Seattle Pacific. He was an assistant on the staff for a long, long time there. But he's really got this program rolling. His first 2 seasons, let's face it, he struggled a little bit. It was very much not up to the standard of Seattle Pacific basketball for those first 2 years. Now, the second season, they definitely were starting to rebound. They went 17-12 that year, but back-to-back 22-7 finishes now. They were the regular season champs. Very rugged GNAC last season. Had a berth in the national tournament. Let's face it, that guy knows how to coach. He got this team. He got right in their ear in that locker room at halftime. He must have, because this team came out with their hair on fire in the second half, and they never let up. For the Saints, again, a lot of teachable moments here. Clearly, the second half did not go in any way that you wanted it to, but so many signs of life in that first half, and it was amazing to see them come out and just punch Seattle Pacific right in the mouth and go toe-to-toe with them. It will be very interesting to see how these two teams react to the way this game finished when they tip it off again at 6 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of time. You're not sitting watching film too much. You're not really telling the players, hey, we're going to watch film. The coaches will watch a little bit just to see some adjustments, but really you're just kind of going out there and making moves on the fly. And so it'll be interesting to see maybe who gets some more minutes, who takes some more minutes off. So some of the guys who played 30, 35 minutes tonight, are they only looking to come out for 25 minutes tomorrow just to kind of get them some more rest? So, again, tomorrow's going to be a very good game. I think we're in store for, look, there's a lot of offense on the floor for both sides. Both teams can score. There's no doubt about that. So it's going to be a good game.
And a couple of things that we'll talk more about on tomorrow's broadcast is, first of all, the pod practice conditions that the Saints have been pretty much relegated to for so much of the offseason and the lead up to these first few games of this season. We want to talk a little bit more about what that means and what it looks like for a team that's been practicing under those conditions when other teams around the conference have actually been doing more sort of 5-on-5 actual full practice drills. The Saints were still keeping their players at a bit more of a distance between one another. So we'll talk a little bit more about what that means for the Saints in terms of their conditioning, in terms of being ready for game time conditions. We'll also talk a little bit more about the newcomers on this team this year. There are a lot of new faces, 5 of them in fact, 4 transfers, 1 freshman. We're going to give you a little bit more of a glimpse into what those guys bring to the table on tomorrow's pregame show as well. So be sure and join us at about 5:45 in time for tomorrow. Well, we'll call it 5:40. 5:40.
Now, yeah, there we go.
Make sure you're logged in by about 20 to 6 in time for tomorrow's pregame show. We are going to run it back, ladies and gentlemen. The Saints and the Falcons are going to duke it out once more this week. And I'm excited to see what these two teams bring to the table on such short notice tomorrow evening. That's going to do it for us tonight here on our inaugural broadcast. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We had to kind of clear out the cobwebs and blow out the rust and dust.
Hey, we got basketball. That's all that matters.
That's
at the end
all
of the
that
day.
matters.
We
I'm
had
so
basketball
happy.
in Marcus Pavilion.
And let's very quickly wrap it up on that note. We talked about this at the outset of the broadcast in tonight's pregame. I'm just so thankful, so appreciative of the job that all of you guys are doing behind the scenes to make this happen. Folks, I hope you, and I know that you do at home, you appreciate being able to watch these student athletes play. We know a lot of the folks that tune in for the broadcast are friends and family members of these student athletes. So you know what they've been going through to make themselves game ready, but there's so much work that goes into this behind the scenes, from the very top of the athletic administration and Bob Grisham all the way down to every single person that helps make sure that everyone is going through their COVID regimens, that they're getting all the work done behind the scenes to keep the players safe, keep them healthy, keep them focused on their studies as well. It's such a trying and challenging time in so many regards, and to be able to bring athletic competition back to the campus is a testament to how good of a job you guys are doing. You guys are all true pros, and I know on behalf of everyone listening to the broadcast, thank you so much for helping to make this happen.
Well, thank you for those kind words, Jeff. And again, we had our eye on the prize at the end. Just get a game in. That's all we want to start doing. And we'll, everything else is icing on the cake. And so, like you said, there was a lot of hard work behind the scenes. A lot of people put in a lot of time, but it was worth it for this night. It was a good night tonight, Jeff.
Heck yes, it was. All right, so that will do it for us here for tonight's broadcast. But remember, tune in again tomorrow at about 5:40. We'll kick off the pregame show and tip it off all over again. Saints and Falcons coming up at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening right here on the GNAC Digital Network. On behalf of Austin Burns and everybody here in the St. Martin's Athletic Department, this is Jeff Lucero signing off. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Champions know how to seize opportunity.